Moving on, the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan continues to worsen under Taliban rule, with Afghan women and children bearing the brunt of regressive policies and systematic neglect. More than 3 years after the Taliban's return to power, the country's education system is in shambles. Girls are locked out of classrooms, and economic hardship has pushed millions of children into unsafe labor. Newsweek South Asia brings you this report on the rising humanitarian catastrophe in Taliban-ruled Afghanistan, a crisis born out of oppression, ignorance, and international inaction.
Afghanistan's once fragile education system has now all but collapsed, becoming one of the most glaring symbols of Taliban repression and international neglect. Nearly 4 million children are currently out of school in Afghanistan, and almost 60% of them are girls. UNICEF has raised alarm over the country's crumbling education infrastructure, lack of female teachers, and absence of basic amenities like clean drinking water and sanitation facilities. For girls, the hurdles are even more dire, with deeply ingrained socio-cultural norms and the Taliban's brutal bans, denying them even a basic right to education. Since the Taliban seized power in August 2021, girls have been banned from attending school beyond grade 6.
Since the takeover of the Taliban is not a very short period of time, it is only when these girls grow up that we will see the impact that it has on Afghan society and on the Afghan economy. But what is important is the following, that you are creating or giving rise to a situation where more than 50% of your population will not be educated, they will be illiterate. They will not have the basic knowledge as to how to bring up future children. They are not being able to participate in the Afghan economy. So if you look at the crisis, it is coming upon Afghanistan, it will be huge, and unfortunately it is all self-created because it is by decree that the Taliban has made it so. There was no need for the Taliban to bring it in.
This draconian policy, which the Taliban dubiously claims is in line with their interpretation of Islamic law, has sparked widespread international condemnation. But on the ground, Afghan families are paying the price. With no access to formal education and little hope for change, a generation of girls is being left behind. The ripple effects of the education ban are devastating. Child labor is on the rise as families, buckling under economic pressure, are forced to send their children to work instead of school. Many of these children toil in hazardous conditions with no legal protections or access to health care. In April alone, over 1 million children were screened for wasting, and more than 43,000, most of them girls, required urgent outpatient treatment.
The Afghan economy, in a sense, has not been growing. It has also by law excluded more than half the population, the women half, from the workforce. So what it has done is to create widespread poverty. Now wherever there is widespread poverty, the incidence of child labor will increase, and that is exactly what is happening.
The situation is worse in rural and mountainous areas where schools are scarce, transportation is non-existent, and cultural norms discourage girls from traveling far. Shockingly, only 16% of schools in Afghanistan are girls only, and many lack even the most basic sanitation, further discouraging female attendance. Moreover, only 48% of teachers have the minimum required academic qualifications, leading to a severe quality gap in education. UNICEF warns that unless urgent interventions are made, over 2 million girls could be out of school by the end of 2025. The broader humanitarian picture is equally bleak, with 22.9 million Afghans, including 12 million children, expected to require humanitarian assistance this year. This makes Afghanistan the second highest in terms of people in need globally.
That Afghan economy has not yet recovered after 5 years. Now, if you look at what happened before, when the Afghan Republic was, the Democratic Republic of Afghanistan was in existence, you can call it whatever, by whatever means, at least there was a process of voting, people were being voted to power. It was such a corrupt and ineffective government that there were no economic opportunities. But if you look at the government of Afghanistan today, there is no problem of instability. The major source of instability from 2001 to 2020 were Taliban activities. They were the ones who were basically bombing countries, indulging in terror. Right now, there are no terror activities in Afghanistan, so to speak. So you would have expected the Afghan economy, whatever it is, to recover. The fact that it has not been able to recover is a puzzling affair and something that the Taliban cannot absolve themselves of when it comes to responsibility. What has compounded matters, no doubt, is Pakistan's decision to send back the Afghan refugees. But the primary responsibility of this lies with the Taliban.
Compounding the crisis, nearly 1 million Afghans have returned from neighboring Pakistan amid ongoing deportations, and 2/3 of them are children. With no homes, no schools and no security, these returnees are among the most vulnerable. Meanwhile, only limited humanitarian aid reaches those in need due to Taliban interference, restricted access and a crumbling health system. In a country where nearly half the population needs help, the future of Afghanistan is in limbo.